welcome to Meet the Biz. Um, Today is very special. And actually, every day is very special to know that this man is a force on this planet. He is an icon. He is a healing joy, healing light. His presence heals you. I remember meeting him. I think it was actually I met him several years back before the pandemic at a show that our dear Charlene Tilton was doing, and it was just for a moment. And I don't want to go too into all this, but I met him again last year when he presented an award to my dear friend Jerry Jewell, or he was actually the person who gave the benediction at the beginning, and I'll go into that once we bring him on. He is the only Reverend Steve Pieters. Hello, Steve.
Hey, hi, David. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all.
Good to have you here. I have to say, I started talking about when I first met you, and even then it was like, it was this magic. I mean, you have this presence about you, and it's this loving presence that just, you just stand and you feel good around you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
What is that? What is that about you? How did you get to that point? I mean, I know you don't realize it. You just are you.
Yeah. I try to be me.
I try to
everyone
be
everyone else is taken, as they say.
Oh my gosh.
So I try to be me, and I don't know, I wasn't always just this being of love. I've gone through periods of my life where I was very embittered and angry, and I've had a lot of different issues in my life that have brought me down, and about as far down as you can go without exiting. And yet somehow in the last, I don't know, 22 years, something like that, I've been increasingly filled with joy. And I think that joy is not, I define it as not the absence of suffering, but the presence of faith and love. And I have seen over and over again in my long life that love works, and like hardly anything else does. And so I have tried to be more and more loving as the days go on, as the months go on, and the years go on.
Well, it sure comes across. I mean, when I was sitting there a year ago at the Hollywood Museum with Jerry getting an award, Jerry Jewell, and many others, and you started the evening off, and you gave this speech, this benediction, this beginning to this evening that was just, I was in tears of joy.
Oh,
so I don't even know. I have a question. The question is, I mean, you do this. It just you didn't start as somebody who would do this. Like you said, you actually started as you wanted to be an actor.
I did. I grew up wanting to be famous, and I thought that that fame would come to me as an actor, singer, dancer. And I did summer stock. I went to Northwestern University and majored in theater and acting, and did from between the times I was 15 and about 23, I was in 70 different shows. There was not a time when I wasn't in rehearsal for, or preparing for, or performing in some show or other, and usually in a leading character role. I rarely played how they call it, the ingenue or the male lead, but I was oftentimes the character lead.
Do you have a favorite that you can remember?
Oh, absolutely. One of the pops to mind was I played Paul, the bitter puppeteer in Carnival.
Oh, wow.
That was the leading role, and he is crippled, and it was quite the challenge to learn to be crippled for the role. And I mean, crippled in that he had a stiff knee, a bad knee that had been, I don't know, blown up in a wartime accident or something, and he was very bitter because he didn't think he could be loved, and uh, there was this girl in the carnival named Lily who he loved, and he didn't think she could ever love him. And it's the story of how they eventually ended up together, of course, by the end. And it's a lovely story with some beautiful music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You were talking about love and a story of love and how it seemed to, for you, transcend from the theater, from art into your life and into others.
Yes. Yes. Well, I didn't stay in theater. When I got out into the professional world, I discovered that, if they wanted a character actor to play a 50-year-old character in the play, they got a 50-year-old. They didn't want a 23-year-old who knew how to play character roles. And so I found as I got out into the world of professional theater, doors slamming shut all over the place. And about this time, I decided that I really had to get honest about being gay. And I came out, by going to the Metropolitan Community Church in Chicago, where I lived at the time. And the Metropolitan Community Church, or MCC, is a LGBT affirming denomination made up mostly of LGBT, although not exclusively so, LGBT people, Q plus people.
Mhm.
And I've met my family there. And about a year after I started going, I realized that my calling was to the ministry in the LGBTQ community. And I applied to seminary and got right in, where all the doors have been shutting in theater, all the doors flew open when I decided to go into the ministry. And so that's where I ended up spending the rest of my career was in the ministry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's fascinating that you say, you say the a reverend, I guess, for the LGBT community,
Mhm.
and I see, yes, I do see that, but I also see it's beyond that. You're a Reverend Steve Peters. You're Reverend Steve, or somebody just calls you Steve, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I see you as a healer for all.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate that. And I am not one of these Christians who feels that everybody has to be a Christian, which is what a lot of Christians believe. And I don't. I think that I'm very much a universalist. I think there are many paths to enlightenment or righteousness or to God, and there are many names for God, including no name. And there are many understandings of spirituality and faith, and I respect them all. I mean, everybody has their faith or their lack of faith for a reason, and I don't mean lack of faith as in, oh my God, they're poor people don't have faith. I know a number of people who aren't people of faith who have very rich, meaningful lives and are very loving people. So to me, it's not a requirement that you hew to one particular faith or another. I think there are many paths.
Right. Right. And you were talking about faith, and the other word that came to mind is miracles. If I
Yeah.
if I would say define miracles, what would come to your mind?
Miracle is something that cannot be explained scientifically or in any other kind of logical method. I mean, I have been the recipient of a couple of really splendid miracles. And you are kind not to have opened my interview with "tell us about your illnesses," which is what many interviews of mine start with. But I was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS back in 1982, before it was even called AIDS. It was not even a year since the first reports of AIDS, and I was diagnosed with what they then called GRID, or gay-related immunodeficiency. And I was extremely ill for the next 5 years with all kinds of really bad illnesses, including stage 4 lymphoma and Kaposi sarcoma. And when they finally came up with the word AIDS, I was diagnosed with AIDS.
So this was back in the 80s.
And this was back in the early 80s. And when it was brand new, nobody knew how it was transmitted. Everybody was scared to death of it and scared to death of me. I suddenly found myself very isolated and very alone, except for a group of wonderful lesbian women who took care of me during those days. They conquered their fear and came around and discovered that they could be with me and help me and keep me company without being in danger of catching AIDS themselves. So I was given 8 months to live in April of '84. So I wasn't supposed to see 1985. So obviously I defied that, and I'm still here all these years later.
Yeah.
And I love that Sondheim song, "I'm Still Here."
I love it. We got a song.
Yeah. Oh, I got a number of songs, believe me. And one of the songs actually is a song that I wrote the lyrics to. It's to an old Gilbert and Sullivan song, and it came out of the fact that in the medical world, my case is called an anomaly because I got well from something that killed practically everybody else. And in the church world, in the spiritual realm, I'm called a miracle. So I got to thinking, which is it, a miracle or an anomaly? What is it? So out popped these lyrics to an old Gilbert and Sullivan song, if I may.
Yes.
I am the very model of a medical anomaly. I've had KS, lymphoma, hepatitis, Russian CMV, bacterial pneumonia, and adrenal insufficiency. All this and more because I caught a virus that's called HIV. And then I took an antiviral just like chemotherapy. It made me sick. My hair fell out. I suffered neurologically. But hey, it worked. It stopped all of the HIV activity. My lymphoma is in remission and there is no more KS to see. Lymphoma is in remission and there is no more KS to see. Lymphoma is in remission and there is no more KS to see. Lymphoma is in remission and there is no more KS to see. Now, many years have passed and I'm as healthy as a horse can be. It's certainly a miracle for anyone with faith to see. But still in journals medical and science and oncology, I am the very model of a medical anomaly.
Thank gosh. Oh my gosh. Are you going to do the Steve Pieters show? I love
Maybe.
this.
I
That's
probably
amazing.
should.
And you wrote this.
I did. It all came, I'd been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And the lyrics just came pouring out of me over about an hour. And it didn't take more than an hour to write that. Yeah.
I'm thinking about how arts and healing and ministry and love all are connected, and how we I remember when I was my last year in high school, they started taking out classes, and the first thing they took out was PE, which I wasn't a huge fan of PE, but
yeah, me either.
I was in trauma, but I sort of, something inside me said, I don't know, they shouldn't do this. Shouldn't, but it's all connected. I keep on hearing in my head the word pride. And by the way, I went on the website, I think it was Macy's, and I got my Pride dolls for
Oh,
you.
yay. I love it. I love
Kitty
it.
and Mickey.
They're wonderful.
Aren't they great?
They're
Hello.
great. Yes.
I tell you, what is pride? What is the definition of a pride?
Pride, believing in yourself, believing that you are loved, believing that you are a good human being, believing that you are whole, just being yourself. You are whole, WHOLE.
Mm,
And that you are just perfect the way you are. Being proud of yourself, uh, in spite of ... whatever it is that the world may tell you that you're not, you shouldn't be so proud of. Being proud of those things in particular, I think, leads to great healing and great gifts, and the ability to heal others in sharing your experience, strength, and hope.
mm,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
sure.
Thank you. Everything you're saying is like, oh, I see the doors and windows in my mind opening up, or even if they are open, it's like a little bird is at the window going, "Hey, remember me?" It's like I go through metaphors sometimes.
Yeah.
Why is I'm gonna I'm thinking one words today, and pride, we're at this prideful place, but then whether it's individuality or sickness or whatever, how do you deal with fear? Or how, if somebody came
Ah,
with you and was having something that fearful, let's say they had cancer, or they had a massive heart attack, which I did 10 years ago, or they're fearful of being accepted of who they are. How do you relate to others, how to deal with fear?
well, that's a great question. And it's a basic question for every human being, because fear is a given in life. I mean, it's just, it's highly unusual for a person not to feel fear at one time or another. I certainly have been scared. I was scared when I was so very sick in the early 80s with this disease that nobody seemed to know anything about, AIDS. And I was scared. I was scared of dying. I didn't want to die at the age of 32, 33. And I certainly wanted to live, and so I was very scared. Well, I learned a number of things about fear, and first of all, I learned that I heard a preacher once talk about fear, and he said that we have a choice about what we can do with our fear. We can be scared to death, or we can be scared to life. And being scared to death is where the fear just paralyzes us and isolates us. We close the curtains and wait to die, We collapse into the fear. Being scared to life happens when you discover there's a lot you can do to help yourself. And even back in the battle days of AIDS in the 80s, when there were no treatments, there was nothing that the medical world could offer me or anybody else with AIDS in those days. In spite of that, I discovered there was a lot I could do to heal my body and to create the conditions for healing when a medicine became available. And so I devised this healing program for myself, the laughter therapy. I made a point of watching I Love Lucy and Pieters and Golden Girls several times a day, every day. So when I'm laughing, I couldn't be depressed or scared. And it sets off all these great endorphins in your system, which are very healing. And I did prayer. I asked everybody I knew to pray for me, and I prayed myself, believe me.
Yeah.
And meditation, I used guided visualization and meditation to help me visualize myself getting healthy and strong, and that was very effective when I did it 2 and 3 times a day, like taking a medicine. I sang a lot. I would drive around the freeways of Los Angeles with music and playing some of my favorite songs, and I would sing at the top of my lungs, just singing in the rain, you know,
Singing in the car, wherever.
singing in the car on the freeways again. So, and I had a lot of fun doing that, and that cheered me. You know, it kept me. And hearing my voice, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm really alive, and I'm going to stay alive as long as I can." And exercise and nutrition and vitamins and supplements. I studied all of that, and I came up with what made sense to me, what worked for me, and that all helped. And then I found also that being of service was an important part of taking care of myself and of creating the conditions for healing, of being scared to life. So that it all helped. It all helped, and I think that you know, even now, well, you know, to be perfectly honest, in September I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer of the stomach that has extended up into my esophagus and metastasized to my liver and lymph glands. So I'm doing chemotherapy. I just had chemo yesterday, and you know, I've been doing chemo and radiation since October, and it can be very debilitating. But once again, I learned that hopelessness happens when I feel helpless to do anything to help myself.
Mm.
Hope happens when I discover there's a lot I can do to help myself, when I am scared to life by taking action, and that action creates hope, and hope does not disappoint me. It hasn't yet, and it's not going to. I mean, I worked for about 5 or 6 years as a chaplain at the AIDS hospice here in Los Angeles. And I discovered that even in facing death, well, I discovered it in myself, first of all, but in the hospice particularly, I saw it over and over again, that it was possible to have hope even in facing your death. And that hope was sometimes for people the hope of eternal life. For others, it was the hope of being absorbed into the great love of the universe. And for some people who didn't believe in an afterlife, it meant hope for release from the pain and the suffering that they were going through. That was hope for them. And whatever the hope was, by latching onto the hope, it made the pain of dying more bearable. You know, and so how much more can we enjoy hope when we are alive and not facing death? You know, so hope and being scared to life are very much involved with each other, and fear too. There's some great sayings in the Bible about do not be afraid. 365 times in the Bible, it says 365 times it says, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
One for every day of the week, of the year.
Right.
And and the answer is clearly, don't be afraid, just have faith, just have hope, just love, just be a being of love.
Yeah.
And it works. It really does.
Why another healing from Reverend Peters. One thing that you said too was no, the fear and the hope. What about that feeling of yourself when, like, my uncle passed 2 years ago, and before that my aunt passed, and I have some friends, of course, throughout life that passed, and part of me, and then my mom is 97 now. uh, Thank you. And the thought though of this, as we go on in life, we, if we keep going, or of course we'll lose people that are close to us.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel sometimes I'm going to be all alone. Um, I'm having a therapy moment. How how does the people who are here deal with the people who are gone?
Well, let me tell you about an experience I had in 1985. I was on an experimental chemotherapy. I was the first patient to go on the drug. It was the first drug they tried against HIV. And it very nearly killed me. And they couldn't figure out why I was dying because my cancers were in remission, but I was clearly dying. And they brought me into the hospital one night. And before they could administer the treatment that they knew would save my life, I actually had a near-death experience where I crossed over. I had been terrified of dying alone without anybody with me who loved me, a friend or a family member. And there I was all by myself, surrounded by anonymous doctors and nurses. And I died. And I was not alone. I was surrounded by the people who died before me, who loved me and who cared for me. And I saw my grandparents and my uncle and the mail deliverer who delivered my mail when I was a little boy. He used to call me Steve Areno, and he was there, and he called me Steve Areno. And there was this great, beautiful light, and I knew that I was supposed to move towards it, and then it became apparent that I wasn't, but not before I felt just the most incredible peace, literally the peace that passes all understanding. I understood everything that I just didn't understand about myself and about life and about the world. And it was all because of all this love that surrounded me.
Mm.
And then suddenly I was back in my body and I was pissed. It was so beautiful over there. And I have not been afraid of dying alone ever since then, because we're never alone.
Right.
Those beings are with us all the time. I absolutely believe that the people who've gone before us, who love us, are with us, because I've been there, I've seen it, I've experienced it.
Mm. Well, and it's interesting too that you think, like you said, we're never alone, and we're surrounded with friends, whether on the other side or here. I mean, and you have so many friends. You're so
Uh-huh.
blessed, and and I mean, like I throw out a name. I know a dear friend of yours is Allison Arnven.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Excuse me, I have to sign my healthcare worker's timesheet. Uh, she's about to leave here.
Okay, let's.
Um, this
Thank
is
you.
this is this is Allison too.
Oh, hey, Allison too.
you better put in Allison 1. Allison 2's a fan.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's Allison.
Hi, Allison 2.
There's Allison. Yeah.
What up? Hi. Did you like the picture?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I picked
Good.
it up in my room this weekend.
Yes, excellent.
All right.
Surprise.
Wonderful Zoom.
All right.
Surrounded by
Together.
loving Allisons. I love.
Bookended. Allison's
I love
everywhere.
them both.
Well, this is great. I love it. How perfect. Perfect. I didn't know.
It's a surprise.
It was a
Like
surprise.
surprises here.
What a terrific coincidence.
How did the two of you meet?
Allison and I.
That's the best story.
This Allison and I. Well, do you want to tell it, Allison? I've been doing all the talking.
I'll start.
Okay.
So I was taking hotline class, Southern California AIDS hotline. I was class number 32. Everyone ever studied hotline with Bob Schoonover at Southern California AIDS hotline all knows their class number thousands of years later. They'd be like, I'm class 50, class 32. And we had classes on everything, how to deal with suicidal callers, bomb threats, death threats, just everything you could imagine, as well as all the AIDS info. And being 1986, 87, we were getting calls from, much like now, people, religious fanatics were calling to say terrible things and say, oh, you're going to hell for answering a phone. It's bananas. So they had a training of what to do if someone called up and started getting, well, biblical on you, because many people were shocked to hear all these Bible verses thrown at them. So they brought in the Reverend Steve Pieters, long-term AIDS survivor and Reverend, to say, okay, here's what they're talking about. No, this is what this actually means. They're blowing smoke. They have no idea what the hell they're talking about. It's okay. And taught this marvelous workshop. So I, of course, being me, am like, Teacher, I have another question. Also, I have another question and another 5 questions, and I'm taking this. And I kept bugging him and saying, well, we've also been taught to like get rid of difficult callers politely and hang up on them. Why don't we just tell them that to call dial a prayer and hang up?
Oh.
Because I'm awful. And he's like, so then Steve, you wound up not teaching the class anymore. And you were like,
I wasn't asked
yeah.
back after that. I mean, you made such a good point that Bob went, oh, okay, well, I get it.
Just nonsense. These people are crazy anyway.
And they weren't even married back then.
Right. No, we weren't even, it was like when Harry met Sally, the whole me and Bob things, like 7 years. So several years go by, and I keep running into Steve, but like not talking to him. I keep seeing him at events, and I've been told that he's had, AIDS since, flipping 83. So I'm like, wow, I don't know, man. And I'll get to a panel, and I'm sitting in the audience, and there's all these chairs up on the dais, and they say, and Steve Pieters is going to be here, and he's like running late, and he's not there, and I'm thinking, well, poor guy, he didn't make it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, well, he's gone. And then he comes running in the door and gets on. I'm like, yes, and he slides into home plate. So I was always shocked you were alive every time I saw you. And then we go to do this show, AIDS Us Too. Michael Kearns, the amazing Michael Kearns, and he's got this whole thing scripted.
James Carroll Pickett.
James freaking Carroll Pickett, Jim Pickett, and Michael Kearns put in a show. They'd done AIDS Us, real people with AIDS and people, their loved ones, etc., telling their real stories. And then it AIDS Us Too. And of course, Steve Tracy, who'd been in Little House, had been in AIDS Us 1. So ta-da, alakazam, I'm in AIDS Us 2. And I go to the rehearsal, and who's there but the guy who's still alive? Oh my God, it's Steve Pieters. We start talking. We hit it off. We're like, like this. We get in the car. He drives me back to my place. We're on la 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 la. We're talking. I go, I've met you before. He goes, no way. When did we meet? I said, you spoke at my hotline class. Slowly I turn, Niagara Falls. Slowly I turn, inch by inch, step by step. He turns around and goes, you.
I nearly slammed on the brakes and threw her out in the middle of La Brea Avenue.
You tried to throw me out of the car. You tried to throw me. It was La Brea and Fountain. You did. You pulled a shit. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out of the car. Just get out of the car now.
Yeah. But fortunately, we stayed in, and
because I said I took notes. I said, you have to come to the house and see the notebook. I said, I know I was horrible, but I took notes. I took fabulous notes. If you come to the house and I show you my notes, will you still speak to me? It's like, all right. And then you saw my notes with Roman numeral 1, capital letter A, small 1, small a, b, and full proper outline note form. And you said, oh God, you're like one of those seminary students. You're just one of those. You're one of those people. You're one of those people. I'm a nerd. Yes, that's how we met. So he almost threw me out of a car in the middle of La Brea, and then we became fast friends.
Then we toured together. We went out on speaking engagements together for a few years, and we would travel all over the country and do workshops and preach. We'd do dialogue sermons in the churches, and it was great.
Humor and healing. We had a workshop on humor and healing. I had my Safer Sex workshop. You name it. They would give us a topic, and they'd say, so-and-so couldn't make it. Can you do the workshop at 3:00 on fill in the blank? And we go, I don't know. I guess we can.
Sure. I did my spiritual strength for survival workshop, and it was great success. People came to see Nellie Olson, and they left knowing a hell of a lot about AIDS.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I'm just taking it in this friendship that you two have, and and the leading up to it of how what is it like? You're never alone and this and that. But it's interesting how the connections in life come about, how people are drawn to each other.
Yes, it's true. It's
We were
very true.
doomed. We were absolutely doomed to be friends. There was no getting. There was just immediately there. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, it was fate. It was fate. And there have been periods where we've kind of lost touch for a bit, but it's always come back and just like we never left off. And COVID, oh my God, when COVID happened,
Because it
Allison
was
taught
like,
me.
oh, we're having a sequel. It's like, or as
Yeah,
Bob said,
right.
don't worry, it's not our first plague. We'll get through this.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we did a lot of interviews in the early days, the three of us, Allison, Bob, and me, and we did a lot of interviews because people wanted to know if there was anything that AIDS taught us in the 80s that we could apply now with COVID. And of course, there are a ton of parallels and a ton of lessons that were applicable today.
Well, and I know, I'm sorry, I've jumped in there. Sorry.
No.
I do know that during that time, the friendships and the love come together. It's like I got a call from Allison and said lemon meringue pie. It's like, and it showed. It was at my door. And it was amazing. And
Yeah.
Allison, you're so full of love. You're so.
You needed pie. You needed a pie.
Absolutely. Allison knows, she's the greatest cook, and she's just terrific. And I was the beneficiary of her cooking many weeks. She would do my laundry. She did my laundry every week, and because I didn't have a washer or dryer, so she would come pick it up, and we would meet 6 feet apart, on the street, and fully masked, of course, and she would take my laundry and bring it back the next day or 2 days later, and all folded and pressed hot from the dryer.
Yeah,
It
and
was
I'm
wonderful.
cooking and stain removal. I'm good at stain removal. I
Yeah.
drew the line to ironing. I said I'm not ironing all of this stuff, but it
No.
was. I did fluff and fold, but he had no washer and dryer at his old place, and a lot of people during the pandemic in the early days, there were businesses that did gouging. It's kind of horrible. There were people like food
Yeah.
deliveries that went crazy. And the laundry people, some of the laundry delivery who did pick up and take laundry said, oh, it's $80 now. And I'm like, they're around the corner from you. They could walk over and get, oh, that's bad. That's wrong. So I said, I have a giant washer and dryer. And I said, I'll be right over. There was no traffic. I got through in 2 minutes because nobody on the street. I was like, da, 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 da. And so I just threw it in because, I had, like I said, I had a big washer. It was a piece of cake. And you bought me detergent for my birthday. You got me a
I
big
did.
detergent pods.
I did indeed. Yes. Happy birthday. Here's some detergent.
Happy birthday to.
But she taught me a lot too about having. When COVID hit, I was just beginning to write my memoir, and Allison taught me that I needed to get up, get showered, get dressed every day, and sit down at my desk and work by 9:30 every morning, or set a time, and go to work every morning.
And
so
that's how you. And that's
to do.
That's what put a fire under your tush.
That's right.
Yeah, I had to do something because in 2020, people were just going, and I saw people making videos, but I said, that's not a video. That's a hostage proof of life tape. They were just sitting in their living rooms going, hello? And I was like, oh man, this is awful. Day 17, I'm still here. And that's why I started doing the reading. And I didn't want to get up, but I would get up and I put on my makeup, put on a nice blouse, and said, and now we're going to read today. And it did me a world of good. So I told
people, not just you, it did everybody. I started watching them and it was like, oh, I have a friend I can connect to.
Yeah, indeed.
I told her, just get up, take a shower, throw something on, and make something up. Oh, I'm going to do this today. Anything.
Well, it is interesting how everybody dealt with the pandemic differently, and I luckily I was one of the ones as well who who thanked Performing Arts Studio West and John Paces, but we went online right away. and I've done over 350 interviews during the pandemic.
Wow.
But
Wow. That's wonderful, David.
it saved me.
Yeah. Oh, I can
saved me
believe
and,
it.
you know, a blessing, a connection. Um, this is for both of you. What brings you the most joy in life?
We both go.
Lemon meringue pie.
Well, the love in my life brings me a great deal of joy. I've never had a spouse, a partner, a husband, but I have had a lover in Mosaic. I mean, a husband in Mosaic, and both male and female and non-binary and all of that. But I have so many people who love me, both in my biological family and my logical family. And of course, Allison is a part of my logical family, who seems like biological family to me by now. But the love that I experienced from her and so many other people, that's what gives me joy. Yeah.
For me, it's creating, but like creating anything,
Yeah.
acting, performing, writing, baking a lemon meringue pie, coming up with, hey, let's read to everybody for an hour a day, scrambled eggs, a book. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the hell it is. Creating something, creating a thing, some kind of art, if you will, that goes out, just goes out into the world and does something to people. And sometimes I don't even know what it does to people, or not until like years later. But the creation of things that I can put myself into and fling out there.
Yes.
It's interesting you said that about the creating. That creating and visualization that we were talking about earlier, Steve, you, Allison, has in a way brings your visualization, and both of you bring your visualization to creation. If that makes sense, to you.
Oh, that was lofty.
And it just, I was channeling. I don't know.
Yes.
But it is interesting how so many of us go, oh, I'm afraid. Go back to the fear. I'm afraid of doing this. Well, and you go through it with the hope and what you said about fear of death, fear of life, and going through it and living the life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I know it's often people who are the most scared of death are often the most scared of life. I learned that early on in the 80s. And we saw it over and over again with all kinds of people who were dying then. And people who are not as afraid of death, who have some faith that death will be the end of their suffering, or that will be the beginning of afterlife, whatever, that they are freer to love life and to enjoy life, to enjoy life.
Well, and enjoying your life, like you mentioned, you have written a book, which is coming out soon.
It's coming out in the spring of 2024. And I'm about to turn in the last final manuscript for the printer to go to the printer. And I'm so excited. I've got a publisher, Roman and Littlefield, and a literary agent. And I've just been, once again, the doors have been flung open. Maybe not as quickly as I'd have liked, but they've all flung open eventually.
Well,
and,
it's interesting too, a living legend. I mean, right? You are living it. We are, and it's such a blessing to be at this time with these amazing people, and to have you. I mean, your list is. I mean, we didn't even go through. I mean, I could throw out names. You were at the Oscars with Jessica Chastain.
Yes.
Because of your story connected to Tammy Faye, and then a musical is being made with Elton John.
A musical
it was a hit, and it was a hit.
It was a big hit in London, yeah. And my interview with Tammy Faye was a crucial turning point in the thing. And Elton even called me to thank me.
Elton John called his house.
Elton John called me, and it was just amazing. I mean, I picked up. It was a call from the UK, and I thought maybe it was one of my friends over there and who'd seen the show, and I picked up, and this familiar voice said, "Hello, Steve," and I said, "Yes," and he said, "This is Elton." Oh, 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 hello. And he proceeded to spend about 5 minutes on the phone with me, just paying me compliment after compliment after compliment about the show, and saying that he'd listened to my Tammy Faye Baker interview probably 1,000 times during the 6 years that it took to write the show, and that he wanted me to come to the Broadway opening when they bring it to New York, which they will eventually, I hope. So I said, I will try to stay healthy enough to do that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Give me something to live for. Definitely. Yeah. And and maybe my book will be published by then.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
I got the book.
Yeah. So Elton John, Jessica Chastain, Tammy Baker. I mean, that Alison Arngrim,
Right.
Nellie Olson. I mean, really, honest to God, Allison and Nellie Olson get more thrills and likes and loves and all of that than any of my Jessica Chastain. Well, maybe not my Elton John.
I think Elton John gets more of me.
Yeah, but she definitely
you can tell who goes to the movies and who watches TV. You can tell.
Exactly.
Well, it's true. I mean, we right here, legends, living legends, right here. Two of you. I mean, Allison. That how many years was the show on?
Well, it ran for 7 as Little House, and then it became Little House of New Beginnings, so a total of 9. And then they had like the TV movie, so they sort of squeaked out 10. And then we're having our 50th anniversary next year. So, and it has never been out of reruns. And between the VHS, the DVDs, the Blu-ray, the streaming, people are watching it on their phones. It's just been this non-stop cyclical thing forever.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the top 10, if not the top 5 television shows of all time.
Because we're that good. I did.
Yes, you are. Oh my
She
God.
said modestly.
I know we have a bunch of students, and not just students, actors, singers, dancers here, and we can get a few questions in. And let's bring on, I see the hand up from Luke Zimmerman. Let's get Luke on. Luke was actually.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Luke.
Alice. How
Hey.
you doing?
Very good.
I really sort of you, Steven, about every actor and actresses around you. But how you meet them, how you get inside in the entertainment world? To me, all these celebrities, actors and actresses, like how you made them.
It's been just flukes, just run of the mill luck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had no idea that Allison and I would be in the Hotline training class and then be in the same play 4 or 5 years later. AIDS Us Too.
I think you put yourself out there. You put yourself out there so much. And then because of your work in AIDS, and it's like, well, you should come to this thing, the Commitment to Life party event. Oh, wait, and who's there? Liz Taylor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And then you keep putting yourself, and they say, well, can you come do this speaking engagement? Yes, I can. And then so-and-so is also there. And then one by one, you thought that Tammy Faye interview, the original interview, you thought it wasn't going to go anywhere and that it was dumb. And look what it led to.
I know. At the time that I did the interview with Tammy Faye, it was 1985. And I thought, I thought I did a terrible job, first of all. And I remember telling a friend, I am so glad no one I know will ever see this. Now everybody's seen it. And many people I don't know have seen it because of the YouTube video. It's on YouTube.
Well, and then reliving it through the movie and
then it was recreated for the movie with an actor playing me, and it was recreated for the Elton John musical with an actor playing me.
And if you hadn't done
Wow.
the dopey interview that you thought was dumb, you would not have met Jessica Chastain. You would not have met Elton John.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we hear that song called Circle of Life of the Lion King. You cannot stop singing his song. Just keep hearing it in your head.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
That's
it. Very
seriously
good point.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
It is the circle of life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed.
Let's get Savan. Savan is here today. Hello, Savan.
Hi, Savan.
Hi, I have a question for you and Allison. How long have you met each other?
Gosh, was it 1986 when we first met? And
I
then I
think
think
so.
it was, what was Age Us 2? We did the show together.
1990.
90,
1990.
1991, 1990. So we met in 86. We became friends in 1990.
That's right.
That's a really long time. Oh
That
my-
is a long time ago.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So 33 years ago, we made friends. We became friends. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Do you
We've seen each other through a lot of life crises and ups and downs and all of those good things that make for a good friendship. Yeah.
I love it.
Very nice.
Thank you, Savan.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Alon. So you can see the picture that he put up, the double picture there. On the right is me. Oh, well, there goes the picture. Oh, well, on the right-hand side was me with Tammy Faye in the actual interview. And on the left was the scene in The Eyes of Tammy Faye where Jessica Chastain played Tammy Faye and I was played by Randy Havens from Stranger Things.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's and thanks to Christine for putting these wonderful pictures together.
Yes.
The magic
Thank you.
behind the I say madness, but the love. Love. Another question for both of you. What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
I see both. We're so smart. And everyone's going, oh, you guys are both so smart. We're going, I don't know. I had an answer.
Well, I know. I want to be in complete remission and live a much longer life. So my wish is for what I want now is more life. I'm not done yet.
And you look good, by the way. I mean, okay, that's
All right.
amazing. Think about how interesting your life is, that even though you're in the middle of chemo and you're in like this massive cancer, you actually had to think for a minute. Oh, gosh, what do I want? Everyone else would have gone, what are you talking about? I want to get better. You're like, well, wait, let me think. It was more,
Well,
I guess everyone says I have so much energy, but yeah, I wish I had more because I have a lot of energy. And then at the end of the day, I'm so tired. So I wish I had just a little, my energy would last a little longer. Because I have so much to do. I have so much to do.
I know.
I have the strength to do it all.
There's the saying that youth is wasted on the young. Youthful
God,
energy
yes.
is wasted on the young.
Oh.
I know. I have the same thing. By the end of the day, I'm just like, how will I get through today? How will I get through tomorrow? But then I always do. So
Well, sometimes I wake up that way. It's like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Exactly. Oh my.
Well, this is a blessing, and thank you for the surprise, Allison.
Oh my
Thank you,
God,
thank you.
Allison, this was so wonderful. What a great surprise.
And you
it
do look
just-
good. I don't know if it's your ring light or you got a filter on, man, but for a guy going through chemo, you look freaking amazing. You look really good. Your skin and
I'll
everything.
take-
Just
I'll
saying.
take
Just
it.
saying.
It's the ring light.
Put a ring on it.
Amber light. Yeah. Anyway, thank you though. I appreciate that. I mean, Allison has been kidding me for months now about how I don't look like I have cancer. What's wrong with me?
You're really serious. God.
Well, that's a wonderful thing too. You have that, and such a lesson to all of us about the visualization and the healing and the things that make you laugh and make you feel good to heal yourself. And that being said, you have this healing force Allison next to you as a dear friend.
Yes,
So it's nice to have the outer world and the inner world working together.
absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely.
And he has his own washer and dryer now, so I don't
I
have to,
do.
like,
So
do his damn laundry.
she doesn't have to do my laundry anymore.
I just pictured a washer and dryer, and knowing me, I'd open it up and there's my lemon meringue pie. I put it in the wrong place. Steve, thank you again. Such a
Oh,
blessing you are
thank
to
you.
everyone.
Thanks, David. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes.
In person. In
Yes.
person. Yes.
We're all gonna get together. I'll de-spotlight us and we'll do a photo with the whole group. There we go. On the count of 3. What? I was thinking of the word joy. Let's all say joy. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Joy.
Joy.
And that's what you are, Steve and Allison and everyone here. Thank you all. What a gorgeous day.
Thank you,
Lovely.
David.
Thank you. What fun.
Yeah, well, thank you, Allison.
Thank you. This is great. I was so excited when he said, okay, we're doing it. You're dropping in. I'm like, yeah.